All right. I see my man in the background, Dimitri Lascaris. Dimitri Lascaris. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. My calendar screwed up. There we are. Dimitri Lascaris. He is a lawyer, journalist, activist from Montreal, Quebec. In 2020, he ran for the leadership of the Green Party in Canada. Lord knows I wish he could have got it, considering who they have out there right now, Carney, who's apparently being humiliated in his deference to Donald Trump at the G7. How you doing, Dimitri? You doing okay?
Well, it's been an interesting few days, hasn't it, Jamar?
Yes, it has been an interesting few days. You know what's funny? I've noticed that people had a pep in their step for the last few days.
Funny you mentioned that. I noticed the same damn thing.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I went to got me a new tie. I walked to the mall. I was like, I need me a new tie. This is a great day. Yeah, I saw the guy playing the saxophone as missiles were flying over his head going into Tel Aviv.
Everybody was so well attired in that video. I was very impressed by those Lebanese stylish.
I know, right? I know. And the guy was playing a saxophone. Yeah, people have had a pep in their step. And yeah, it sounds bloodthirsty, but again, as I keep pointing out, they've been killing people. They just killed 100 people today. Just today alone. And it seems like they're taking the fury out on the Palestinian population that they can't take out on the Iranians. It is so bizarre. And yet that's what seems to be happening. So it's like, even though people are paying attention to, okay, there's a war, what they're not paying attention to is this kind of extermination of the Palestinian population that is happening side by side as that war takes place. I mean, it's astonishing to me. Give me a take on what it means over the course of these last few days. I mean, they got to sucker punch in. That's what I call a sucker punch. Donald Trump lulled Iran to sleep. And, you know, there's something to be said about criticism for Iran to be lulled to sleep in the first place. I mean, you're dealing with Donald Trump. The man is one of the most dishonest people on the planet, right? Habitual liars lie. That's just kind of a rule. But obviously, they've recovered. They've caught many of the Mossad agents that were causing all sorts of havoc in the country itself. Israel's air defense seemed to be getting weaker. I mean, the volleys that they were sending before seemed to be old missiles. And now that the old missiles have diminished their air defense, they're hitting them in the daytime. I mean, they hit Mossad in the middle of the day, their headquarters. Give me your take about what this means from your point of view. And I want to escalate this conversation to geopolitical context, but I want to start there just to get your overall point of view.
Israel's in serious trouble, man. They are in serious trouble. They have screwed up big time would be an understatement. This is an epic debacle. Not predicting the doom of Israel. It's too early. Although I do think ultimately that's what's going to happen. It's too early to say that Israel is finished at this stage and that it doesn't have a lot of fight in it. And it's entirely possible that if the United States enters the war en masse,
yes,
that will change the direction of things, and that I don't think they're going to end up occupying Iran, but they could end up, essentially turning Iran into a failed state, like they've done to other countries. I don't think they're going to do that either, but it's a possibility. So I'm not ruling any of that out, Jamal.
It's existential. In real terms.
And it's very clear that a few things have emerged over the last few days, which spell serious trouble for Israel. Number one, Iran can hit anything it wants to hit on the surface of that country. They may not be able to destroy something that's deep underground, but Mossad headquarters, the 2 oil refineries in the country, the Ministry of Defense, the Weizmann Institute, which is the technological backbone of Israel's military, the Knesset, Dimona, they can hit anything and destroy anything, despite the fact that I have every confidence that NATO right now, the whole of NATO, okay, not just the United States, is doing everything it can to protect Israel from Iran's attacks.
Yes,
and they are failing miserably. So that's one thing that's emerged from all of this. The second thing that's emerged from all of this is that there's really no indication that the people of Iran are going to overthrow their government at this time. Now, maybe they will somewhere down the road. But if anything, support for the government has heightened during this time. And the more that the Iranian government demonstrates its capacity to, and let's call it what it is, to impose justice. This is justice. This is what Israel deserves richly. I'm not talking about killing civilians, but the destruction of its infrastructure, the destruction of its military assets, its intelligence assets. These things should be destroyed because the West has done nothing whatsoever to rein in its rabid Israeli attack dog. And as you mentioned, the genocide is ongoing and intensifying. So as Iranians see this, I mean, you can imagine their sense of pride and vindication. I can't see any indication that this government is going to get overthrown anytime soon. And the third thing that we've learned is that the Israelis don't have the stomach for this kind of fight. Within 48 hours, they went to the Trump administration. From 48 hours from the time that they commenced this illegal war of aggression, which is exactly what it is, they went to the Trump administration and pleaded with Trump to send in, the cavalry. And apparently Trump reportedly said no for the time being. But the mere fact that they resorted to that so quickly. And the thing that strikes me, I was thinking about this yesterday, Jamal, that just the utter stupidity of the timing of this. If Israel had attempted something like this before this genocide began, and if the propaganda mechanisms of Israel in the West were effective, and they've eroded over time, but if they were effective, they probably could have got a lot of people in the West to support Israel. Mm-hmm. But after 20 months of just shocking, horrifying, mind-blowing depravity on the part of Israel, even people who never had any sympathy around the world for the Iranian government and still don't, are on the side of Iran. Okay, yes. So this is the worst possible moment for the Trump administration to try to garner public support for a war against Iran. The worst possible moment. The reaction amongst the American people will be very interesting to see. I think there is going to be an intervention by the U.S. military. It will probably be big. I hope not. I really hope I'm wrong about this, but I would be very surprised if that doesn't happen. It'll be very interesting to see the reaction of the American people when so many people are outraged in the United States by what they've been watching over the last 20 months. I don't think there's going to be a lot of support in the United States for a war against Iran.
I don't think there is. I get the sense that cultists will back Donald Trump. I don't think a huge amount of Trumpers are going to necessarily back away from him. But I agree with you that the majority of the population is going to be horrified by it. And even many in his own base are going to be horrified by it. It's like, dude, are you out of your mind? These people have been committing genocide. I mean, like, if you look at the polling, you had 60% of the population, 70% said these guys are out of their minds. Like, the support for Israel literally degraded over the course of the last 2 years as the public watched them murder women and children, burn kids alive, day in, day out, starve all of these people. And many of the massacres that are taking place with them killing, starving people who are going to get food. So you see that. You can't get away from it. And you look at this and you think to yourself, I'm going to give me an entire day. I'm going to eat some popcorn, right? It's brutal.
Spring my step. I've seen that from so many people. I mean, as I say, this is a public relations debacle but more than anything, it is a threat to the very existence of Israel. Iran doesn't have to demolish Israel to destroy the Zionist entity. What it has to do is cause so much shock and horror in the minds of Israelis that they want to leave. Mm-hmm. That's all they got to do. Just, especially the segment of the population that is best educated, most mobile, the scientists, the doctors, the intelligence professionals, the ones who can most easily leave and go to a Western country and establish a new life. All they have to do is cause so much angst in the minds of those people that they give up and they go. And I think that will happen long before Israel is leveled to the ground. I don't think, I'm not even sure that, Iran has the capacity to do that, but it doesn't need to do that. And once that happens, once there is a net outflow of Zionists from the Zionist colony on a large scale, it's over. It's over.
Yeah. I mean, that is Gaza. I mean, this is not Gaza. This is Tel Aviv. It looks like Gaza, right? And even if you go to, here's another one.
It looks like war.
It looks like a war. Exactly. It's not just shooting kids in the back. It's not starving people. It's an actual war. It's a proper war. That's what they wanted.
Remarkable. And this is
Look
what
at
we
that.
know, Jamal. I mean, they are locking down the media big time in Israel. And
Yep.
despite all of that, we still can see compelling evidence of Iran's ability to strike and destroy anything in that country.
It's astonishing. It really is. Like the hypersonic missiles that have been hitting, that seemingly can hit anything and you can't stop them. Haifa is on fire. It's been burning. Lights went out almost immediately when that hypersonic missile hit. And you can tell a difference. Like you see ballistic missiles coming in slow, and then out of the blue, bam, split second. And it's the hypersonic that's making that impact. Let's go to the second question. Do you think the U.S. is, well, you said you do believe the U.S. is going to get involved. I agree with you. I think the U.S. is going to get involved to save their proxy. There are a lot of people who come to this weird belief that Israel went rogue. It's like those people aren't paying attention. Israel didn't go rogue. This is the United States proxy. It's like the very air that it breathes is coming out of the United States. And so that's not the case. I am curious on what do you think this means in a geopolitical context, though? I mean, you're right. It's existential for Iran. On some level, it's existential for Israel, too, though. But they've embroiled themselves into it. It wasn't that Iran wanted it. Israel involved themselves into this existential conflict. Mm-hmm. What does it mean? I mean, fact of the matter is North Korea, Russia, China are going to be working very hard to give Israel anything that it needs, short of getting involved directly militarily. And if Iran everything it needs. And if Iran starts to get wobbly, then there may be a reevaluation on what Russia and China does militarily. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think people are realizing how dangerous this moment is, especially if the United States involves itself directly militarily. Give me your thoughts on that. I mean, this is effectively the axis of the world pulling at this one spot where you have all of these countries in Europe and the United States, or let's say led by the US, and all of these other countries in, let's say, this new world that is trying to be born, this multipolarity force pulling in the other direction. It is fascinating. Initially, the fulcrum of that was taking place in Ukraine. And it seems that they've acknowledged, okay, we lost, tossed Zelensky to the wind. Let's try it now in Iran. What do you think of that? I mean, do you think that's accurate? Do you think that's off? Give me your take.
Oh, I think this is an earthquake. This is an earthquake geopolitically. One important detail, which I've seen some discussion of it, but not much, mm-hmm. is that, we've learned that the attacks on Russia's nuclear bombers was effected by smuggling into the country trucks that were specially designed and, that had opened up, and they released all these drones, and all of a sudden they were able to overwhelm air defenses because they were unexpected. They were very close to the target and so forth. Well, essentially, based on what we've seen in Iran, the same thing was done. Something very similar to that was done in Iran, and it was done within a matter of a few weeks of each other. So you don't have to be, Sherlock Holmes to figure out that the same people are behind both attacks, right? So,
it's like, hey, it's very weird that both of these groups had the same idea, right?
The geniuses who are behind this, left their dirty paws all over the crime scene. So we got their fingerprint evidence. So anybody with half a brain in the non-Western world and, positions of power and influence looking at this would say, these people are completely and utterly treacherous. The United States government and its Western allies are clearly behind both attacks. And at the very time that they were doing this, they were preparing to do this, they were pretending to be engaged in negotiations towards a peaceful resolution in both theaters of conflict. And they've even admitted in the case that Trump tried to deny in the case of Russia, which I found laughable, that he knew anything about the attack on the nuclear bombers of Russia. But I don't think the Russians believe that. But, now, the case when it comes to Iran, they're basically bragging about it. They're bragging about the fact that they pretended Witkoff, Trump, and the rest of them to be serious about continuing the negotiations. There was going to be just this past Sunday, another meeting in the Iran U.S. nuclear negotiations. And, within 3 days before that meeting, they launched a criminal war of aggression on Iran and then bragged about how they had deceived the Iranians. So people around the world are looking at this and they're saying, okay, whatever credibility the U.S. government had is zero. There's zero credibility. and all the Western governments. You cannot negotiate with these people. They are as treacherous as you can possibly imagine. And I don't think this is a message that's just being received by China, Russia, and Iran. I wonder what's going through the minds of the Gulf autocracies looking at this.
Really?
Yeah, they must be worried, not just because they think these people will throw you under the bus in a heartbeat, and they're completely lacking in credibility. They're liars. They're treacherous, but they're also looking at what Iran is doing to Israel, knowing full well the defense systems that have been brought to bear, and they're going, these guys. This is a serious military power we have on our doorstep. Do we really want to go to war with those people? I don't think so. So I don't know exactly what's going to come out of this in West Asia and the broader world, but I'm quite confident in this much, Jamal. This is an earthquake, and the longer this goes on, the more Israel is damaged, the more its military vulnerabilities are exposed for all the world to see. The more it is going to affect. I think the word in Greek that comes to mind is tharos, the audacity and the courage with which people in the non-Western world are prepared to confront the project of Western hegemony. This is a big, big moment in the psychology of non-Western resistance to Western hegemony, in my view.
Oh, that's such a good point. What's wild about it? I think there's another flip side to that too. If Iran goes down, how could Saudi Arabia, Egypt really trust the United States that they're safe, right? Like Greater Israel goes through Saudi Arabia, goes through Egypt, goes through all of those countries. And if the main military power in Iran collapses, they would have to depend upon the United States to effectively save its ass, to protect it. And how could you ever do that, considering the mendacity that is being displayed here? I mean, they literally were engaged in negotiations on multiple fronts. I mean, let's be aware of Minsk agreements 1 and 2. Those were negotiations. And what did they do? They used it to build up a massive military. The Palestinian deal, where Trump comes in office and is like, hey, I got a deal. I'm awesome. I'm Donald Trump. And Israel immediately violated it with Donald Trump not saying anything about it. Same thing was taking place in Russia, right? Let's deal with some kind of negotiations. Everything that Russia does, Trump is chapped in verse, knows everything about it. Everything Zelensky does or Ukraine does, despite the fact that they dropped, 1,500 drones or 1,000 drones over the course of a week, and Trump, hear no evil, see no evil. I didn't know that Putin's plane was attacked by drones. Who knew? Nobody knew that. Meaning they're so dishonest. It is like over the top dishonest. The world has to see that. And does Israel or does Egypt really believe that it's safe? It's side by side with Israel. Does it really believe it's safe? Who's going to protect it? The U.S.? Do they really believe that the United States is going to side on the side of Egypt as opposed to Israel as it creates this greater Israel project? It is a big deal. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
I think it's an important example. Egypt, I'm sure they haven't forgotten that Israel and, France and Britain tried to seize the Suez Canal.
Yeah.
Israel has settlements. And there have been reports coming out of Israel about really sort of belligerent reports that, accuse Egypt of preparing to launch a war on Israel, and how, Egypt is a threat to Israel. So you don't think the Egyptians are cognizant of all this? So when you weigh it all up, I mean, you're sitting there Sisi's looking at the situation and sort of, trying to put his finger on the pulse of, the future. I think he's really weighing up in his mind. I wouldn't be surprised if he's weighing up in his mind whether he needs to reevaluate the strategic priorities of his country and his regime.
You think so? In my mind, he may be looking at the false flag, another USS Liberty.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed the first part of what you said, Jamal.
Well, I'm saying he may be looking at a false flag, like a USS Liberty event. You see a 20, 30-year-old, 50-year-old aircraft carrier. That thing is ancient. If that thing goes down and you point the finger at Tehran, would that be the casus belli that Donald Trump needs trumped up in order to get involved heavily militarily? I mean, every war that we've gotten into, for the most part, short of, let's say, the Second World War, has been trumped up. It's been made up.
Yeah,
So
they might have sent the Nimitz. I know you're referring to the Nimitz, which I think is
limits.
scheduled
Yeah.
to be decommissioned next year. But they might be sending that. It could be because they're planning a false flag. They're certainly capable of anything to this stage. But it might be just be that they really are concerned that Iran has the capacity to take out an aircraft carrier, and they don't want to lose one of their newer ones. So they're putting that one at risk. It could be that. But are they capable of a false flag? Sure. Are they capable of sacrificing thousands of American lives in order to deceive the American people into supporting a war, an unjust war of aggression? Absolutely. They're capable of genocide, for God's sakes. They're capable of anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Dimitri, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Where do you think this goes from here? Do you think other nuclear powers get pulled into it? And this will be the last question. If Iran goes wobbly after, let's say, the U.S. gets involved, Iran gets wobbly after some kind of attack, do you think it pulls Russia and China in? Do you think Pakistan gets further involved? Like, how far does this go? I mean, my concern is that this is extraordinarily dangerous.
Oh, it is. I think this is the most dangerous moment in human history, Jamal. Despite our levity at the, imposition of justice on a genocidal entity, we should have no illusions about that. I think that, I think that Iran has some cards to play which we're not talking enough about, right? So the obvious card, the first card they're playing is the safest card. All of this is highly dangerous and risky, of course. But the first card is, let's use our missile and drone technology to attack Israel. And let's just leave the United States and other Western countries out of this. And let's leave the Gulf autocracies out of this. Let's just make it between them and us and see if we can inflict enough damage that they stop attacking us. And hopefully the Iranians would also insist on them stopping the genocide. Absolutely, that's what they should do at this stage. And I hope that that will be a condition of the cessation of hostilities. But in any event, let's suppose that doesn't work, okay? And the United States comes in, or the United States doesn't come in, and Iran's stocks of missiles and drones are exhausted, and they just can't sustain the pace of destruction that they're currently inflicting on Israel's strategic assets. It has two other cards at that stage. They're very dangerous cards. The first card is they go nuclear. They actually develop a nuclear arsenal. And I think they have the capacity to do that. And they could do it in short order if they wanted to. And, the Iranians, I understand, are pulling out of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty now.
They are. They should.
They've tendered legislation, apparently, in the Iranian parliament for that purpose. That's not a good sign. If I were Israel, I'd be very concerned about that. And they may have actually been, precisely what was needed to push the Iranians over the edge, this Israeli aggression. So that's one card that they have. The other card that they have is that they could just set the oil industry in the Middle East on fire. They don't need to have, hypersonic ballistic missiles to do that. You remember, Jamal, that the Ansar Allah, with the use of a cheap swarm of drones, managed to disable a huge Saudi oil facility, which I think was probably a pivotal moment in the Saudi-led war of genocide on the Yemeni people. That really was a sobering moment for them, and ultimately, I think, brought what was effectively a truce. Iran could do that without these extraordinarily, sophisticated and destructive ballistic missiles. They could shut the Strait of Hormuz. They could set, various major oil facilities on fire in the Middle East, and then, it'll not just be about Iran, Israel, or West Asia. It'll be about the global economy at that stage. They could put a gun to the head of the global economy if they wanted to. And if you're the Iranian government and you've been subjected to every dirty trick in the book, every level and manner of depravity and barbarism by Israel and the United States and their Western allies, why wouldn't you play that card if you felt that you had to? Yeah. I think they'll be very tempted to play that card, and I think it would be very easy for them from a sort of practical perspective to play that card. So Iran is not limited to its, the use of ballistic missiles and drones to strike Israel repeatedly. They have other things at their disposal. And I think that that's ultimately where we're going to go unless the United States government, grows a brain very quickly and says, we got to stop this. Unfortunately, their record indicates that they don't have the just basic common sense to do that.
They don't seem like it. Dimitri Lascaris, man, thank you for this. Dimitri Lascaris is a lawyer, journalist, activist from Montreal, Quebec. In 2020, he ran for the Green Party leadership of Canada. Dimitri, you have a good day. Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
You too, Jamal. Take care, man.
Thank you. Our